All right, guys, good work on our review. Now we're going to talk about a new tense that we haven't talked before. It's called the imperative tense. In English, we use the imperative tense when we're giving a command, telling something that's really important, and maybe even a rule. Now I'm going to give you guys some examples of the imperative tense. So let's say you're walking down the street and you see this. Let's open it up. Okay. And you see a kid running out into the street. Now, it's really important that that kid isn't out in the street, isn't hit by a car. So, now, what would you say if you saw that happening? In English, you'd use an imperative. You'd say, stop. That's an imperative. It's a command. It's telling the kid to stop or the car to stop. So there are other uses for the imperative tense. Like, I'm your teacher, and if I tell you that I want you to do some work at home, that's very important. Homework can be very important. So if I say, do your homework, that's an imperative. Another example is a place that we hear imperatives a lot. We hear imperatives a lot from parents, from teachers, and a lot from bosses at work. An example of the imperative tense is if your boss to you, you need to come in at 6 a.m. Now the boss, doesn't say, could you come in tomorrow at 6 a.m.? The boss says, you be here at 6 a.m. It's a rule. It's an imperative. When we ask it like a question, it's no longer an imperative, it's a question. So an imperative is not a question. We don't use the question mark for an imperative. We use a period or exclamation point. And remember when we talked about intonation last time, how we talked about a question intonation will rise. Would you like something to eat? Do you want to go and play? That there will be a rise in English when we're intoning a question. But with an imperative, there's no rise. So as you're practicing saying your imperatives with our activity that we're going to do next, make sure that you're not rising, that you're keeping it as a statement. Next, we're going to go into an activity. So let's do an activity where we're practicing imperatives.